Well, and to give you a little bit of an overview of the work that Mark and I do and how we guide and coach clients through their unique opportunities to align folks and practices and decisions to their ideal culture. We know leaders are used to setting performance expectations and then trying as best they can to hold people accountable for those. And sometimes that accountability isn't quite as consistent as leaders and even team members would like. And to be able to take values from aspirational ideas and to get them to literally observable, tangible, measurable behaviors, you can, in essence, have expectations of what respectful behavior in our house looks like, and then have leaders model it, coach it, praise it, redirect it if it's not there. So literally, it's creating workplaces where respect is as important as results.
Well, and those are the kind of guests we're going to have on the show, Chris. And not just our current clients. We already have people reaching out to us saying, this is just a good discussion to have. This is, and we're just getting started. I don't think of it as a round table, and it's just going to be you, Chris, and me, and a guest. And we're just going to have a, 45-minute to an hour dialogue about culture change, and not just change for change's sake, but sustainable, drivable, appreciated change. And we've already heard from a couple of our guests in the episodes we've recorded so far, where once we start holding people accountable for living the desired culture at their companies, well, some people just don't fit anymore. And sometimes we have to have those tough conversations. And throughout our podcast, throughout the different episodes, that's the kind of real world conversations we're going to have, is how to do that and still maintain grace, still maintain professionalism, still keep morale up, but know there's going to be certain people that are not going to be here anymore because they don't align to the ideal culture here. And Chris, we've had one conversation already where once people who did not score very high on the respect value were asked to leave, and everybody else in the company went, "Oh, thank God, it's about time. We've been waiting for this. It's like a big weight is lifted, and now we're all moving in the same direction. There's no more dicks. There's no more divas. There's just people that believe in the mission, aligned to the values, and we're just going full steam ahead."
Well, and it's way more fun once you get to that. And we talk about you can't tolerate bad behaviors, especially once you formalize what the desired culture is going to look like, feel like, smell like. And one of our guests has a phrase that he's known for, and it's if these folks don't see the benefit of aligning to our culture, then we're going to share them with the competition. That they can't stay here, that they're perfectly delightful people, but if they're not going to live the culture that we have formalized, they're just not going to work out here. And you're going to hear, again, sometimes those conversations are heart-rending, and yet you can't not hold people accountable. So the idea of creating this ideal of respect and results, it may seem like it's a pipe dream, but it happens and it's real. And we want to make it happen for you all in your unique organizations. One of the things that's been fascinating about this work, and yes, we talk a lot about senior leaders, but we've had wonderful client experiences in small plants, in small teams of larger organizations. It just takes team and leaders of the team to say, we can do better than this. We're not going to, live in this turmoil anymore. And we've got a process that people have embraced and works very well to create that uncompromising culture.
Here's what I'm most excited about, Chris, is We're going to have guests. We've already recorded episodes with guests from, CEOs of major corporations to a manager of a very small team of 15. And we're going to be talking to startup founders and nonprofit executive directors and CHROs and CEOs. And they're all going to bring this story to life. And that's the one thing, my biggest hope for our podcast, Chris, is that it really does come down to storytelling. And yes, it should be entertaining, but it should also be informative. And our guests that we already have lined up are incredibly sharp, incredibly passionate, and also diverse. I mean, I'm very excited about the fact that we're going to have people on our show that aren't just more old white guys. And I say that, obviously, Chris and I are both old white guys, but the world doesn't work like that anymore. Corporate America doesn't function like that anymore. So we're going to bring a diverse set of guests that aren't just, based on company size, but different perspectives, different heritages, different traditions, different desires of what is important to them as leaders. And here's what we can definitely promise you. Everybody on the guest will be a leader just like you. They each bring their own concerns. They each bring their own dreams. We're going to talk about the challenges that they are currently facing right now or maybe faced in the past and have finally climbed that mountain. So I'm most excited about the kind of guests we're going to have, Chris, and the kind of conversations that'll generate.
Well, and our intent with the podcast is to make this valuable, is to maybe shine a light on some practices of how you can, reduce the amount of bad behavior that happens in your team. But more importantly, it's about creating an environment where people feel like they belong, like they're sharing important work that they do with their peers, and that they're learning along the way. And so you're going to hear a great deal from our guests about how that has blossomed once they got past the toxicity, the harassment, the frustration of players that really weren't bought into this vision of respect and results. So we're very, very excited about the podcast. This is going to be a wonderful ride. We hope you will join us and listen in. It'll be available in video format and in audio format, as you might expect. And you might, as you listen along, and maybe even so far as you've listened to this introductory segment with Mark and me, you may want to give us, a holler. Just ping us with, these folks might be good guests, or here's some topics that I'm wondering about. Can you include those? So our email address is authors@goodcomesfirst.com. authors@goodcomesfirst.com, and it'll come to us and we will respond. We promise. So thank you for listening. We're very, very excited about the Mastering Workplace Culture podcast. Mark, what should we add?
Here's what I want to add. We talked before about no BS, no buzzwords. The reality is culture has become that. And now every leadership expert, because so many cultures have become toxic. We live in a divided world right now where people get to say random things just to fire people up. Well, that isn't how this works. That isn't how any of this works. So which is why it's so important we talk with you, not at you. So if you hear something on the podcast, if Chris and I say something or a guest says something where you just go, yeah, that, that would never work here. Use authors@goodcomesfirst.com. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your challenges. We want to hear your frustrations. We want you to be part of the show just as much as our guests are.
Well, again, thank you so much for listening. We're excited for this venture and very excited that you're going to be a part of it with us. So we will see you very soon.